Hey everybody, welcome to our Monday night call. Jamie and I are both so excited to talk with you just about developing a solid team and having the kind of business that is going to give you residual income. That's what we're all here for. We're not just salespeople. We're not just giving people the products. We want to create a legitimate business. And I think that's something, as we're talking about this, something to remember that we really are working hard to create a business. Just Google how it works when you're creating any sort of business, but this is a legitimate business, and that's what you guys are doing. So you should expect to feel a little bit of tension or maybe frustration, and your head is just bursting with ideas and you're so excited. But we're going to talk to you guys about what we have done to build a solid business as diamonds to have residual income. This is one reason that Plexus has a compensation plan where you have to have points outside of your primary leg. That's to encourage a solid business. So if you're struggling with that area, this is definitely something that you're going to want to look at and to really pay attention to what we're going to say here tonight.
Yeah, exactly. It's easy to get, in different, the business, you're working hard, right? So it's easy to get in places where maybe, if people are pausing or if they're getting tired, why is that happening? Oftentimes it's because we're doing all the work ourselves and we're working hard and we're paddling and we're doing all these things. But the idea for residual income, for building a strong business, isn't to have you yourself doing all the heavy lifting, being the puppet master, doing all the things. It's the fact and the matter that we develop people. That's what it comes down to, right? We need to duplicate ourselves. We need to not be the one doing all the things, being all kinds of tired, right? So that's what we're going to get into with a strong business that we need to really look at developing.
Exactly. So when I look back and I think about my business and my leaders, and we were gold or I was senior gold, what were we doing? And what I was not doing was signing up one person who was building over here, and I'm just like working so much with these people over here that I'm not recruiting. I'm not working with these people over here. That's going to create a really unstable business. You're not going to have residual income. I see a lot of senior golds, a lot of rubies, a lot of senior rubies kick back, relax, think they have residual income. Yeah, that's only going to last a couple months, honey, if you don't have a solid business. So you're going to need a solid business. You need to get workers. You need to get people who want the business for your people. So my level ones, Tiffany, Cody, Brittany, I was like, all right, we need to get them some leaders. Where's 3 for each of them? I need to get on the phone. I need to help them. And at the beginning, it's going to feel a little bit like you're micromanaging because you're going to be helping them so much. And it's really a I do, and then we do. So you do it together with your level ones, and then they do. Then they're on their own. You don't just sign someone up and let them go free and be like, oh, she wants the business, or oh, she wants to do this. You have to work with them. You really have to handhold. And everything that your sponsor did with you, that's what you do with them. So that's how Jamie and I can have tens of thousands of people on our teams and have this residual income. I can plan a wedding for 6 months, or we can go on a nice vacation with our families. That's what we're all working for. That's what we've created by working with our leaders and having solid teams. I don't know what Brittany and Rochelle are doing with their teams. They're solid. They are rock solid, and they are creating their leaders. So it's so freeing. That's how I can work as a diamond, not any harder than I did at silver, because I'm not worried about everybody. I'm helping my level ones help their level ones. So that's the most important thing with all of this.
Mm-hmm. And it comes back to keeping it simple with that. In the beginning, it wasn't looking at the idea or the concept of, I need to develop all of these millions amount of people, and I need to find tons of people so I can get to the top and all these things. It wasn't this concept. It was simple. I remember Tiffany and Phallin saying this at the beginning. It was as simple as, you need to get to silver and then continue to go silver every month. So your goal is just keep trying to get 3 people every month. But the goal is try and get 3 people. And they continue to get 3 people every month. And it was the idea of, if we find people to really invest in, to link arms with, to go to the top together, that's all it really takes to get to diamond. And it's not, I mean, everyone's, legs and, teams look differently, truly, but it's not needing 50, 20, even 10, even, jewels under you to get to the top. It's people, it's the power of three, keeping it simple, finding those three people to link arms with go. And that is, I remember just feeling so tangible. Like, I can find three people who really want to do this that I can pour into, and we can do this together. That is tangible. So just pouring down that and like really honing in on how simple this really is.
Yeah. So how do you do that? You yourself, you have to have the vision. You have to have the belief. If you don't know where you're going, you can't ask anyone to follow you. If you have no idea what you're doing or why you're here or where you're going, no one's going to want to follow you. At the beginning, that's really all that we had. I'm telling you, like, I knew a lot, but I really didn't know that much. I know way more now than I did at the beginning, but I was just like, Tiffany, we need to do this. Like, I'm going to make a lot of money. You need to make a lot of money. We have goals for our lives. Do we want to be broke forever? Like, that's literally what we asked ourselves. Or Rochelle, she's like, I want my products paid for. I'm like, okay, let's get her products paid for. But what if she's struggling to pay for her products? What else is she struggling with? She's got a lot of kids over there. No one wants to live paycheck to paycheck. Let's go to the next level. Just constantly giving them that vision of where you're going. And then you're like a train. Like, the train is moving and you are wanting, whoever is wanting to hop on, they hop on, but you're going and they need to come with you. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that later, but how do you know who to pour into or who to work with? Me and my leaders, we talk about this sort of thing all the time. Like, who do you work with? So Jaime and I were talking, and, we work with people who want this, people who are coachable, but also people who are visible. They're not just saying they want this, they're showing the action, right? They're in the team pages, they're on the calls. What are some other things, Jaime, that we're looking for when we know who to pour into?
People, I mean, even being on the calls, but not needing to repeat 100 times the things. Like, you tell them that this is important, and so they start showing up, or they start bringing in people, or, they're taking initiative. So it's not that you don't have to develop and build into people and all those things, but it's not like you are dragging them along and it feels like this heavy burden constantly. They are doing the things without you having to beg them and plead them to do the things, right? So finding and seeing those things in people, seeing the potential in people. Someone might not even see it in themselves yet, but you see that potential in them. You see what they're capable of. You see their strengths in other areas of their lives. And you're like, you would do amazing with this. So seeing that potential and bringing it out of them and casting that and all the things. But it's the people who, you can't just constantly, self-motivated is on there too. But you can, Brittany said that, but you can't just be, behind you without there never being a give back and someone never, stepping up to the plate.
Something else that's really simple. You guys are here for a business, right? You're here either to pay for your products, to pay all the bills, or to not work a second job. You want this to be your job. The simplest thing to look for is who's making you money. That is one of the sure ways to know who to work with, because they are producing. You're growing a business. We can give to charity, but this isn't a charity. It is a business. So that's who I would look for. When someone got a join, I was like, oh, so-and-so got a join. How can I help them? Where can I meet them at? Where are they at? And that's where you meet them, but you bring them a little bit further than that. So if somebody just wants their products paid for, that's where I'm going to meet them right there. I'm going to help them get their products paid for. If somebody wants this business, but they can't recruit or they're struggling to make any money, I am going to let some videos train them. I don't need to repeat myself. The majority of my training is not telling people how to recruit or how to follow up, or how to post on Facebook. We have duplicatable tools in the training page for that, in the actual Pink Powerful training page that Jamie and I worked on a couple years ago. We're always adding new content to that, but that's where I send people. Go figure that out. Come back to me. Because it takes away from the time that I need to spend with the people who really want this or who really need this, because it's so easy. I mean, who doesn't want this life? Who doesn't want to be a diamond? Everyone does, but we need to watch their feet and not their mouth. So, and that too, I help people who are struggling, like my leaders. If they're struggling at whatever level they're at, I'm going to talk to them. I'm going to pour into them. If they are coming to me, I will always throw the ball back to them. But especially at the beginning, you're going to need to see some fruit before you start investing a ton of time there.
Mm-hmm. And once you find, so once we've found those people, once we identify that we need more, then it goes to the next step. Okay, now we need to build that belief, cast that vision. Going back for a hot second to when Phallin was talking about first having that in ourselves, right? So we can't build belief and cast that vision if we don't have that in ourselves first. We can't ask someone to follow us if we don't know where we're going. We can't empower them to come with if we don't even know if we can get there. You know what that's going to look like? We're not going to have confidence. We're not going to have excitement. We are not going to follow through with our actions. We're not going to be raising and stepping to the plate like we should be if we don't have that. Because if we don't have that within ourselves, we're going to be falling short, and we're not going to be able to bring somebody else in that same spot. So that starts with a strong foundation. That strong foundation has to begin with us. That's going to build our entire business on what, on us, on what we're starting that with. So having that for us, if you don't have that, and that's something that needs to be strengthened for you, then that's where to, talk to your upline, do positive affirmations, revisit your why, watch videos, do the things, do the personal growth. I mean, that is an important piece to your foundation. And once you have that within yourself, then your next step after you're finding these people, then you're casting that vision and belief onto them, right? You have that foundation so you can pour into them. It's going to exude out of you. It's going to ooze out of you this belief and this strength and this passion. And it's as simple as, here's where I'm going, come with you, or come with me. It's not some rocket science thing. It's just simply pointing out, like I said before, and helping them believe that and come to that vision and the belief we're talking to them too.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And you know what? If you are gold, it's normal to not necessarily have someone under you who wants this business. Yeah, I'm going to tell you, most people get to gold and possibly even senior gold. But when you get to senior gold, if you do not have people who want this as bad as you want this, that needs to be a big focus. Your upline can help you with that. Like, look, is it the people I'm recruiting? Is it something in my posting? Why am I not getting people who want this as bad as I want this? Most of the time, it's like Jamie said, it's your belief, it's your passion, it's your excitement. It's not usually your knowledge. It's not usually even the people that you've recruited. It's you, yourself, and the vibe that you're giving off to your people. You have to be excited. I know I listened all the time. I just pulled it out again, but Eric Worre's GoPro DVDs and CDs, and those 2 years in my business where I wasn't making the progress I wanted, I never was frustrated. I never felt like I was putting in too much work and wasn't getting paid enough. I knew I was building a business and I knew it was going to happen, but my belief was so high. When I had a team, I knew exactly where we were headed, and we were all headed straight to the top. Another thing to remember too is when you want your team to produce and you want to grow and you want to create this business, you can't expect your team to do any more than you're doing. Now, there are a few lucky souls who signed up a rock star and they're like, well, what's happening here? But your team, if you are pulling your weight at 50%, your team's probably going to be down here at 25. So I was going full throttle. I was like 150%, and nothing was stopping me because I had big goals. And so my leaders, they were there. They were at 100%, and we were all like, we're not cleaning our houses for a year because we're going to be Jules. And we were all in Hawaii in under a year, but we had big goals and we had big dreams, and that fit into where we wanted to be in our lives, and nothing was going to stop us. So if you're Ruby, you need to be looking for leaders. Have your upline help you. You definitely don't just want one solid leg and you're over here managing that team. You need to be spread over here and working with all of them too. It's also about relationships. Relationships are so important in this business. Your leaders, I can't stress this enough. They need to be like your best friends, really. Like, your people that you're working with, they're your business partners. They're your closest people, outside of your family and God, of course. But in your circle of friends, these people need to be tight with you because you're really doing life together in this business. And I can say that's true of all of the top leaders in my entire organization, is our relationships are solid, and it's so important.
And part of when you're talking about Phallin in terms of like the beginning and you being confident and all in and you're giving 150%, the reason why things moved is because you were talking about it. You were sharing it. You weren't just keeping it to yourself. So you told people where you were going. And that was something I noticed when I started, because that was huge. Just getting on, and if you guys are not getting on the phone call, you're missing, but getting on the phone and hearing that voice and that confidence from someone made all the difference with me. And if you've heard my story before, you've probably heard me say this a million times, but getting on the phone and having Phallin Tiffany talk to me and say, first thing they did was they built belief in the company, the products, and the comp plan. They said exactly where this company is going, what these products can do, and just 100% belief and excitement. Then they said where they're going. They said, they just casted their vision belief. They said, we are going to the top. You can come with us. And they said that in there, but it wasn't like what they didn't do, didn't stop. They didn't wait for me and see if I was going to come with them. They didn't put all their eggs in one basket and assume that, well, this is going to be the whatever, they didn't stop and wait for me. Their train was going. It's just whether I wanted to hop on or not. And they made that, such certainty and clarity, and their belief was so sure that I had no doubt that they were going there. It was just my decision at that point whether I wanted to go with them or not. So, and then that duplicates down, for passing on that excitement and that vision to Sue, and her to Sal and Chris and Sarah, and it just passes down. And that's where the relationship part comes in too, because if you know someone or you build that connection with somebody, you can cast that vision better. You can tell them what you see in them. But that is massive. And just getting, like I said, getting on the phone and being able to speak that and to be so sure can make all the difference. So if you aren't finding people to run with you, if you are struggling with pouring and developing people, which really is leadership, developing leaders, the same thing, then, where is that coming from? How are you and exuding that, and developing people and bringing people and casting that vision in that way?
100%. We definitely had that vision and that belief, and I think when you're on the right track, you're gonna feel a bit of a struggle, a bit of a pull. Like, I feel like I just want to do plexus all day, but I want to spend time with my family too. It's all about managing your day, managing your time, and managing your priorities. But if you've tried everything, or you've been with us for a couple years, or you just don't feel like things are moving how you want them to, there's so many different factors. But a couple things that we would say that you should ask yourself is, how bad do you want this? Are you consistent? And sometimes that's a hard question to ask yourself, but if I'm eating donuts in the kitchen and I'm dreaming about having a bikini body, I have to ask myself, how bad do I want it? And then I'm like, I look good enough. Give me the donut. How bad do you want this? Are you willing to be consistent? Are you willing to put in the time? Because if you're not, don't expect to find people that are. If you're not committed, you can't expect to find people who are more committed than you. I know there are some people out there who are just trying to win the Plexus lottery, but that's not the norm. That's not how either one of us got to where we are, was by getting lucky. You have to put that in. And I asked Lori one time, I'm like, I see these people on your team, and why are they not being successful? Why are they sober for 5 years? And she said, consistency. They're not being consistent. Cause I'm like, they got the influence, they got the posts, they got the friends that I do not have. What is it that is not working for them? And she said, they're just not consistent. They're up, they're down, they're in, they're out. And that is so true. We have to be consistent because people join us, they want stability. They want to know. Don't you want to know that Plexus is going to be here tomorrow? Isn't it good to feel like we can know that we're going to have a paycheck every month? When people join you, they want to know that you are going to take them to the top. And I've had leaders at the very beginning of my business tell me that they were kind of flaking in and out because they didn't know if I had what it was going to take to lead them to the top. You know, I had to stop and think about that. And I was like, okay, what do I need to do? What do I need to work on? And one of the biggest things was reading lots and lots of leadership development, being ready for that position even before you have the people, because that's what's going to draw them to you, because you're going to be ready. You don't wait until you already have the people to suddenly decide to learn these things. You learn these things, you store it away, you have this knowledge, and then when God gives you the people, you're ready for them.
Yeah, I think it's easy to think, well, I have to wait, and you know, when I have people, then I'll lead them and I'll be a leader. Or when I get this rock star under me, then I'll be ready to go. And, you know, that's what's going to get me going and get me excited again. Or, you know, fill in the blank. Those are just really excuses to put responsibility on somebody else, right? To postpone whatever is going on. But it starts with us. We have to be leaders first. We have to develop ourselves first to even attract the people that need to be doing this, to even raise up leaders or pour into people and develop people the way that we need to do it. We can't do it if we ourselves are not working on ourselves first. So if we have that backwards, then we are going to miss out, and that is going to hold us back. We don't need the other things to come first. Raise up to that person, develop yourself, raise your leadership lid, read 25 Laws of Leadership or all the books, and do the things to develop yourself so that you are ready when that person comes along, or you can attract and bring in that person that does have a higher leadership lid or that is ready to rock, because then you are going to be there and you're going to be ready to equip and to move people along.
Yeah, 100%. So you have to be developing yourself in order to pour into other people. And you also, as we're talking about building a solid business, and we're talking about getting 3 leaders and helping them find their 3, or even better, real stability is having 6 or more strong, solid level 1 legs, and then continuing from there. But that's a great starting point, 3 and then 6. But are you thinking about your team more than you are yourself? I love Brooke Hemingway's live that she did last week. It's on her wall. If you haven't watched it, go watch it. But she was talking about, how do you stay in love? How do you stay in love with your business, with your relationships, with whatever? And the way you do that is, it's not about you. It's about your people. It's about your friends who need this. It's about your team who wants this. It's about the single mom or the single dad or the person who needs the income. It's not about you anymore. And that's that servant leadership. That's that giving back. It's what's going to make you feel good about yourself, instead of always being, what can I get? What can I get? And John Maxwell says, if you give more to others and help them get what they want, you're going to get what you want. So when I was ranking up all the way to diamond, I wasn't thinking about myself, except for the thought in the back of my mind, if I help her, it's going to help me. But that was a fraction of what I was doing. I knew that by helping them, it would help me, but I wasn't focused on me because it wasn't about me. And the most important thing of our whole business is the people who need these products. So this isn't in my notes or anything, but I was driving down to Savannah and back. So I had 10 hours on the road. Bless my family's heart. Caleb's like, is this over the kids' age level? I'm like, this is how you create smart kids. You let them listen to things that are way above their level. So we're listening to doctors and all this stuff. And completely unrelated to Plexus, a different ministry. And they were talking about blood sugar balance, gut health, and inflammation. I kept hitting pause. I'm like, this is why we're so successful in Plexus. This is what we have to offer to people. And it doesn't benefit you to keep your mouth shut, because people need these products. And if you start out with that belief, that's what Lori Welch had. That's what she gave to me. She had this rock solid belief that everyone needed these products. And that's what you have to give. And that's what you have to believe. And that's what's going to get you out of bed in the morning. That's how we can still be this excited 7 years later. Y'all, we've been leading team calls for 7 years every Monday. I don't know how many Mondays that is, but Cody and I were leading these by ourselves at the beginning, and I had a crying, screaming, nursing newborn at the time. So, you know, we are passionate about what we're doing, and that has to be the starting point for why we're doing what we're doing. I think, what else did we have here?
Well, and along with that, if that's the focus, having that passion and that belief, and in terms of reaching out to people, and your focus is your team and helping raise them up, if that's your focus, you know what that's going to stop? That's going to, right there will stop your, you know, everything in its tracks. That's going to break you down. It's going to hurt your business if you start into this comparison game. So the one thing that you can do big time to combat that is when it's not on you, when it's not, that's not your focus. When the focus isn't comparing and looking left and right and that person's journey and that person's journey, it's you, who are you helping? What are you doing this for? Who on your team are you pouring onto? I mean, then that's not even an issue, right? We have to trust the process. You're working on you, you're working on your people, and you got your blinders on. That's what matters. You are the only you. You are handmade uniquely by God, and He is giving you gifts and talents and the ability to grow and to develop yourself that nobody else can do. So you need to do you. So just wanted to plug in about the comparison game with that, because that right there can be something that can hurt, and you don't want that to even come close to being something that's on your mind.
You know, I don't remember which of my jewels I was saying this to today, but we were talking about how we were exploding. I think it was Rochelle. We were talking about how the business was just exploding, and we had so many joins the month before I went diamond, and everybody was ranking up. And I'm like, but what was so many joins? Like, what was that compared to what I'm looking at right now? It felt like a ton of joins, but we weren't comparing. We had nothing else we were comparing to. We weren't looking at our sidelines that hit Ruby before we did. I talked about this at my leaders retreat speech. Like, I didn't even care. I was so excited with what we had because I really believed I had the fastest growing team in Plexus. Yeah, right here inside my walls of my house, I had the fastest growing team in Plexus, and we were all so stinking excited together. I look back and I've seen posts like, whoa, I had 16 joins this month. Now, I mean, we can do anywhere over 1,000, but that was exciting. I felt more excited about my 16 than I do about my 1,000 7 years later, because this is normal. So enjoy your journey, enjoy the process. Don't look at where everybody else is. I feel like we say this on every call, but it's so true. You have to put your blinders on. Comparison is definitely the thief of all joy. I don't care if you're comparing to everyone on Instagram. I don't care if you're comparing houses, kids, spouses, businesses. It will ruin your life because you're not happy, you're not content in what you're doing. If you can just stay happy, positive, optimistic, enthusiastic about what you're doing here in Plexus, that's what's going to attract people to you. If your mouth is open, you still have to talk about it. They're not going to get it through some telepathic signal. You have to be talking about these things and being excited and sharing with them. If you want the residual income that we have, you guys can't expect a quick fix either. So in this microwave society, in this age of millennials that they don't want to put in the work, but they want to reap the rewards. And we can say these things because we're young enough to make fun of all of the people that are our peers, but that's not what we're doing here. Caleb and I were talking about financial freedom too. Like, it's not just saving this year that suddenly is going to make you wealthy. It's putting away a little bit year after year after year and where you're going to be in the future.
Yeah. I just listened to this video by Simon Sinek, and it was so good. And whether this hits home with you or somebody that you could be working with now or in the future, it's so important because it talks about that, that microwave society, the instant gratification. And if people are used to everything at the drop of a hat, you want to watch a movie, you can do it immediately. You want to find an answer, you Google, it's immediate. You want to date somebody, swipe right or left or whatever the heck it is, and there it is. So it's all instant. And that's where this can come into a problem sometimes if people aren't willing to put in the time and the work and the passion that it takes to really make this happen. Job satisfaction, strengthening relationships is something that takes time. That's not a microwave instant thing. He had an example. He said someone told him, "I think I'm going to quit." His response was, "Why?" This person tells him, "I'm not making an impact." And his answer is, "You've only been there for 8 months." So people want to make an impact. People want to do things immediately. He said, I'm just going to read this quote because I just love it so much. He said, "It's as if they're standing at the foot of a mountain. They have this abstract concept called impact that they want to have on the world, which is the summit. What they don't see is the mountain. I don't care if you go up the mountain quickly or slowly, but there is still a mountain." So what this young generation needs to learn is that there is patience, and that some things that really, really matter in life, like love or job fulfillment or joy or love of life, self-confidence, a skill set, any of these things, all of them take time. Sometimes you can expedite pieces of it, but the overall journey is arduous and long and difficult. And if you don't ask for help or learn the skill set, then you'll fall off the mountain. You won't find that joy or fulfillment in life. So that's part of what we need to do when we develop people too, is, if we're having someone struggle with that, or maybe you're struggling with that, realizing that this is a journey. It isn't an Instapot thing. It's not a microwave thing. It's a journey. It's the slow cooker crock pot, and taking that as it is and learning and developing yourself and growing into it and doing that with your people as well.
You definitely just have to trust the process, and not that we shouldn't put in the work, but stress ourselves out to the point where you just don't even know where to go or where to turn or what to do. You have to trust the process. And your upline is a free life coach. Literally, they're free. Take advantage of their business advice that's coming straight from the top. It's coming from me. It's coming from Tiffany. It's coming from Jaime. But before that, it came from Lori Welch or whoever is up there above us who's been successful. So take that advice, do what they're saying. And if you're struggling in this area in your business, or you kind of feel like you've come to maybe a standstill and you're like, I just want to be a jewel or I want to be a diamond, I would look at how wide you are. I would look at your leaders. I would look, did you stop recruiting? Have you stopped looking for people? Have you stopped pouring into people? Did you start enjoying your residual income too soon? Residual income that is enjoyed too soon, it's not true residual income. It's like taking an investment out before it reaches full maturity. You have to keep developing yourself and your team and pouring into them in order to have that full benefit and reap those full rewards of a solid team. I can give you story after story of solid diamond businesses who are able to move. They're able to take more time off. It's not like when you're a ruby. So don't look at your joins. Don't look at your points going up. Get all excited and step back and take your hands off. No, the more excitement, the more joins you have, the more you need to work with them to duplicate. And the duplication process doesn't stop with getting a join. It starts with getting a join, getting them working, and then getting their people working. If you're not doing all 3 steps there, if you're just getting people working or getting those level 1s going, you're missing the boat entirely. You have to work deeper to create those roots and that solid business. So don't stop too soon. Pace yourself and have work hours. That's the most important thing I can tell you, especially as we're heading into the busiest time of our businesses, because right now everybody is making the decisions on what they want for their New Year's resolutions and their health goals. Right now is when they're making those decisions. So right now we're planting those seeds to reap that harvest. As soon as January 1 hits, people are so bloated, so sick, so blah after the holidays. They are ready. So you need to have already reached out to them so they know where to turn and to come to you.
And if you're pouring into your people, to go further a little bit with that too, you're pouring your time into the people who are coachable, right? That goes back to not dragging people along. So when we've built that belief and now we have to equip them, we're pouring that time into the people who are coachable. You can drag people. This is actually something that you said, Phal, but you said you could drag people to gold, into senior gold, but you'll lose them. You know, you might be able to, at some point, they can catch the vision. Awesome. Great. That's awesome. But for the most part, a lot of times you'll end up losing them because they didn't own it for themselves. They weren't invested. You just had your hands in everything. So it goes back into equipping them and giving them the tools and making sure they have that belief, and not pouring all your time into somebody who isn't going to catch it and get that. And then also being, you know, it's important to, it's easy and fun to be a cheerleader, right? We talked about this too, Phal. It's easy and fun to be a cheerleader, but you also, it's more important to be a coach. So cheerleaders are just, yeah, yay, just cheer everybody on the whole time, and that's all you're doing. When you're a coach, you can celebrate with some, you can build them up, but you also are there to strategize, to say the hard things, to point out the things that where people do, whatever it may be. So it's not our job to just cheerlead everybody through this business. Sometimes it requires, you know, saying those hard things. And that means we all have a relationship and we develop rapport, but we have to, when we have that, we can shoot it straight. We can, you know, say those things. So it's being, you know, our team needs more from us than just being a cheerleader. Anything else on kind of equipping people, Phal?
Yes. Oh my gosh. Okay. So I am naturally, I look to the future. I'm very prepared. I see what's coming. So it's pretty easy for me to be hard on people. Like, no, if you keep doing this, girl, you're going to lose your whole team. Or if you keep doing this, you need to stop. This isn't creating a solid business. And I'm okay with saying that to people. So it came very naturally to me. But when I look at the best leaders in our industry, they are able to say those things. So take a deep breath and just say, you know what? Maybe we want to change the way you're posting. Here's how so-and-so is doing it, and it's more effective. And even more than that, if you're feeling like that's hard for you, get your sponsor on the phone. Do a three-way call. Lots of three-way calls are so good for building relationships. I personally just want to know everybody that I can on my team, and I want to connect to all of these boss babes. So I love to talk to them. But talking to them adds that third-party validation. The other thing, too, with creating leaders is if you don't feel like if you're the leader that you want to be, or you're comparing, again, yourself to a diamond, which obviously we have a lot of experience here, but we didn't look the way we do now, or like the way we present ourselves or carry ourselves so much, and the knowledge we have when we were gold, but we are still able to lead everyone. So for the love, don't compare yourself to a diamond in that area. Listen to what we're saying, but it's going to look that right. Exactly what Rochelle's saying. Don't compare your chapter 1 to someone else's chapter 20, because it's going to make you feel defeated, and it's going to make you feel like you're not good enough to do what we're doing. And that's just not the case. Really, what you have to give is your belief and your vision. That's all you have to do. You can rely on so many third-party tools, videos, trainings, books. Lori Welch is just like, here, read this book, read this book, read this book. I mean, really. So don't feel like you have to be everything to everybody, or be this super leader, because you don't have to. And we definitely weren't at the beginning of our businesses. We just had belief and vision. That's literally all we had. And that's all you really need to give to people. And then having them have wins right away, kind of what Jamie is saying about dragging people to gold. and senior gold, they need to have wins, and that's creating those leaders for them. If you can give your level 1 the vision and make them want this, they might be struggling and not able to give it to their people. You need to be the one to give that to your level 2s if your level 1 isn't at that place yet, and then help them. And as they watch you do that, they're going to do that too. That's where 3-way calls are so important.
Exactly. So good. Yeah. It's not about perfection, and we're not perfect. Nobody's perfect. So everyone, wherever you're at, you can raise your leadership lid. I mean, that's what this is all about. Leadership sometimes has this like scary term or whatever. I don't feel like a leader. I don't know if I can develop leaders. That wasn't me. I don't think I'm a good leader, whatever, fill in the blank. But this isn't about that. It's just pouring into people. It's just stepping up and doing the things. And that's what that really all pans into. That's what we've all just been talking about in this call. Phallin, if we do all this and we're working on ourselves, on our building our belief and vision, right? We're raising our leadership lid. We are identifying people. We are casting vision and belief onto them, and then we're equipping them. And if they still aren't moving forward and stepping up, then what?
If our leaders are still not doing that, if they're still not moving forward,
yeah.
I talked some about that. I think I talked about all of my.
Did we talk about that all? Yeah. Yeah. I was just going to wrap it up with that. But yeah, it goes back to all the things that we mentioned earlier with the instant gratification and all that. But I think basically, I guess what I was getting to is it comes down to the fact that if they're not ready, you can't pull them along, right? So sometimes they're just not ready. So we can do all these things, but we just have to kind of let them go. We can't keep pouring our time into somebody who isn't going to reciprocate that. So maybe they'll change their minds later. Maybe something will move later and they could jump on board. Awesome. Grab them then. And, you don't just leave them in the dust completely. You're still there, but your time and energy and everything cannot be just poured into them if they're not willing to continue to do the things, right? I think someone mentioned this earlier too, but your top 80% of your time with your top 20%. So you have to be careful with who you're pouring that into. So do those things, but keep your train moving, right? That's where that train analogy is perfection, I think, because you hold out your hand and you do the things, you equip the people, you pour into people, you develop them, because that's important. You can see and have more belief than somebody else. That's okay. That's good. You pour that into somebody. But if they're still not willing to go there with you, your train keeps going. They can just hop on the caboose there if they're ready to go later. But your train keeps going and you keep finding those other people. So don't get stuck in a place where you feel like you're continuing to still develop the same people and it's not going. That's when you got to keep moving and finding those new people.
Oh, yeah. Lori did not stop for me for 5 seconds, I don't think. She hit diamond and emerald and all of that stuff while I was still gold. I mean, her train was moving straight ahead real fast. And I eventually caught up. And as I was going ruby and senior ruby, I had a gold who quit. I didn't pull myself. I had Cody, Brittany, Tiffany, everybody was going forward. So I was going with them. And that person, I was like, well, I mean, I guess I'll see you later. I hope you come back. But they're not there yet. They don't want it. So meeting them where they're at, but just not letting them drag you down, because this is a business and you're doing this for your family. It's so hard when you want this so bad for everyone, but they have to want it for themselves. And that is the most important thing to remember, because sometimes they don't, and there's not really much you can do to make them want it. I would hesitate here though too, like if you absolutely can't get anybody going with you, you might need to step back and look at yourself. And Jen asked in the comments, what's the best book for coaching and stuff like that? I would say as you're coaching yourself and doing your personal growth, it's basically just passing on your knowledge. I'm just kind of looking at like Caleb and with the kids, and I'm not really like necessarily coaching him on what to do. I'm just showing him what I did with the kids, and he's just doing what I did. It's kind of like how our kids learn to talk. We don't get a manual. How do I teach my kid to talk? Maybe there might be a few road bumps and they might need a little help with things here and there. And so we're like, all right, how do I help them? You might open a book or watch a YouTube video, but for the most part, these things are natural if you're doing the things yourself. I think John Maxwell's book, Leaders Ask Good Questions, that's a good book too. But really just passing on your knowledge that you have and what you're learning is how you become good at coaching, asking them questions, listening to them, stuff like that. So.
Yep. I hope this empowers you guys to feel like, yes, I can do this. I can, you know what? It doesn't matter where you are. You can develop yourself. You can develop others. It's not like you have to wait to be perfect first. It's not like you have to wait to develop yourself completely first. There's never a perfection time. There's never a right time for everything. You just do. You just move. In the beginning, things were crazy. We didn't know what was going on. We just did. So do you, and have your blinders on, develop yourself as you're developing others, and just move forward. Anybody, you all can do this. It's not perfection. It's not anything else. So I hope this equips you and gives you excitement to want to move forward and do those things.
I think sometimes you just have to jump right off the cliff. Just jump all in without thinking about all the things, because we hold ourselves back so many times. And the majority of the things I've done in my business, I don't feel ready for it at all. I just know that I want this or I need this and I'm going to go for it. So we will talk to you guys later. Have a good night.
Thank you. See you guys.